I'm on my second course of chemotherapy. I've got another 10 more to go. Um, I know I haven't been active, haven't been posting, I haven't been very active. And I know a couple of people had mentioned they were a little concerned because I hadn't been posting. I'm doing great. Okay, let's talk about chemo and I'll talk about some other things. The chemo has been kind of interesting. It's I go into the chemotherapy on Wednesday, and I'm talking with a doctor, and she apologizes for being a little bit late. She was, and because she said she'd been said maybe had heard that she was arguing with her patient next door. The Her previous patient had been in the treatment room next door, and she was trying to convince them to go through chemo, and they said no. And she was a little discouraged with that because it was there. And I understand. Don't get me wrong. Cancer is a very scary word, and I was terrified. I actually was more terrified when I went in the hospital. I was terrified because I thought everything that I'd seen had been that we'd found was related to heart. And I thought I was going to go in there and end up with heart surgery. And instead, I ended up with colon surgery. So it was, I go, okay, fine, great. It's, to me, that was better than that. And I was lucky. As far as colon cancer goes, mine was at the appendix end rather than at the other end, where you end up with a whole bunch of other complications like ostomy bags and things like that. So no, I'm fine. I have just a couple of little minor scars that, whatever. They're nothing really major. The and they thought that they got most of everything that they had seen with the cancer. For me, the chemotherapy has been kind of interesting. I guess I'm just that type of person that I'm interested in what's going on. I go into the cancer center and I see a lot of people who are really, really sick, who are really, really ill going in. And that is scary. And for me, I go in there, it's not that bad. Right now, the only side effect I'm feeling right now is I got tiny metallic taste in my mouth. And it's not really that bad. It's a little, it's like, say you ate something and it was aftertaste. For those of you who like Sweet and Low, or if you ever use saccharin, Sweet and Low is made of saccharin and it has an aftertaste. This is an aftertaste like that. But this one is persistent. It stays there. The other side effects I've had, the weirdest one that got me was hiccups. I got the hiccups the other day and they just wouldn't go away. I have a lot of people, they told me, oh, here's all these medicines in case you have nausea or vomiting or diarrhea. And I haven't had to take any of them. It's like I haven't had to take any pain pills at all with this whole thing. Never, I've not been in pain. The only time I was in pain was right after surgery when they were first trying to get me up. And they'd actually given me something at that point in time. But that's when you're just right after surgery. But after that, it was just fairly nothing. I mean, you feel a little pressure. You feel a little bit of, it's a little not right, you can tell, but it's no pain. I've had no pain with this. I've had nothing. The issue I've had with the side effects are very, very mild for me with the cancer that I've got. I have metallic taste, and it's not all the time, but it's a lot of the time. It's I'll talk about that more in a minute. I get the hiccups. That's okay. I mean, it just, you can't. The sensitivity to cold is the strangest one. And the doctor made a comment that her father had went through chemotherapy and he never really got over his sensitivity to cold. So that would be a bit depressing. Never be able to drink cold water. I drink hot tea, so it's not really that bad. But taking, you have to take a vitamin or a pill or something like that. I can drink cold water to an extent, and it feels funny is the best way to describe it, and you don't do it. The other one that I have is I'm diabetic, and I have peripheral neuropathy in my feet. The soles of my feet, I would get a little bit of pins and needles, and I knew that. That was because I was bad, and I hadn't been controlling my blood glucose, and then the glucose molecules attached to the nerve endings and kill them. And I knew that. And what happens is that the peripheral neuropathy can get worse with this. And actually, I have, it's right here. It's the weird, you can hardly, it's not on, not really where you'd expect it. It's on the back of, sort of on the back of my hand. I get the pins and needles there. And occasionally I get it in, you feel a little bit. That's one of the chemical drugs they really watch, because that could be permanent. It's nothing really bad right now. I feel a little bit of and I'm familiar with the feeling because I have it in my feet, and I was getting it in my toes, which was something I hadn't been, normally been the soles of my feet, but the peripheral neuropathy. And so I have to watch that. My blood glucose is through the roof because all the steroids and things like that and that. And I know that getting control of my diabetes while I'm on chemotherapy is going to be a challenge. And I know that. And my doctor said I got to be a lot more cautious about my diet, and I've got to get back on that. Right now I'm sort of snowed in, so I go, okay, I got to eat what I got in the house, and I have to be a little bit more careful. But that's okay. I figure after this wonderful snowfall gets gone. Talking about the metallic taste, I'm not a gum chewer. I rarely chewed gum. But for me, now I'm chewing gum a little bit more than I ever have in my entire life. I went to the store, and I knew when I first got the metallic taste last week, I took that. I went to the store, and I picked up a bunch of sugar-free stuff. So I picked up sugar-free gum, and I picked up sugar-free candy, lozenges and candy. Now, I'm not the greatest fan of the sugar-free stuff because, for me, most of it still affects my blood glucose. In fact, because sugar alcohols, which don't affect many people like mannitol and some of the others, don't raise their blood glucose, does raise it in me. I've tested that and seen that. But what happens is I bought some, and I thought, okay, I'll have some of that to eat while I'm to try and get rid of the metallic taste, which was a mistake. The gum is fine. I get the cinnamon flavored gum, and that's fine. The mistake was I overindulged. I think it's the sugar-free Lifesavers. I think was the worst. I'm not sure. It's one of the sugar-free, because I indulged on several, like had their peppermint and things like that. And on the package, there may be a warning on some of them that they can have a laxative effect. So just be careful. That may affect you too. It counteracts some of the other effects that I get from some of the chemo. But you got to eat that in moderation. So just the minor, eating the sugar-free Lifesavers, which I like the flavor of them, but they're sort of, they have other problems with that. So you just have to watch what you're eating. I feel great. But things have been going on in my life. One of the things that is sort of a side effect of the cancer, and I can't fault the company I work for this. I was out for several weeks, and it hit at, shall we say, the best of times and the worst of times. We were planning on a new major release of a piece of software, and it was being given to me as my baby. And so it was great. And it was because being out it was sort of the worst of times, because that's when I was supposed to be planning all this stuff. And it was the best of times because it was all over the Christmas holidays. So it didn't affect me too much. I had to fight with with my company to keep me in the position because they wanted to rearrange and give what I was going to be doing to someone else. And I can understand that because I was out and there was that. They gave it back to me with a couple of caveats and things like that, but I'm working through that. But it's kicked off. And so I am very busy. Previously I would talk occasionally to Vietnam. I'm talking to the teams in Vietnam more regularly. I'm talking to the teams in Japan. I'm talking to the teams occasionally in Spain and in India, and the group and a bunch of people in England. So I'm on the phone at all hours of the day and things like that. The chemotherapy, one of the things they said is you get tired. And before I went in for the surgery and all that, I had learned that I was having real problems with sleeping. I was basically an insomniac. I rarely slept for more than an hour or two. I was up. I would have a hard time going back to sleep. I didn't sleep well. And I was on the computer at all hours of the night. Since they solved, and that was because of the anemia, because I was bleeding out so bad. What happens is now I sleep much better, and the chemotherapy even reinforces that. It makes it so that I sleep even more. So I get tired at night, and I'm tending to go to bed a little bit, maybe an hour earlier than I normally go to bed, occasionally 2 hours earlier, but I'm often work is much longer hours. Normally I would work, I'd start work at 9 and I'd be done by 5, maybe 6 o'clock. Now I have been starting work often at 8, sometimes 7, even as often as early as 6:30, getting going because of having meetings, and going often until 9 or 10 o'clock at night with meetings. So I'm putting a lot more hours in for work. I take some breaks during the day, but I take a long lunch because if I know I'm going to be working until 9 at night, I'm going to take a long lunch. I'm going to have to stop for dinner. So it's not that that they're working me to death, but it's just the hours are much more spread out, and I'm having more meetings. So so when I get through, I am tired, and I admit I'm tired more than I have been in a while. But that's because I think it's the hours, and I know that this is affecting me some, but it hasn't been bad because I've been feeling much better than I have in years. For all intents and purposes, I feel much better than I can, as far back as I can remember. I can't remember when I felt this well. Got, some funny tingling in my fingers, occasionally tingling in my hands, some funny metallic taste. Those are minor things rather than you go, oh, I get up in the morning and I'm feeling actually pretty good. It's just, which is great. So chemo has been going on. Work has been taking a bit of a toll because it's just the longer hours, which is not what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting the need to coordinate with Japan as much, and the coordination with Vietnam will continue on for a while, but that means I just have to plan for maybe taking a little bit of rest during the day. It's nothing horrible at all. It's a longer day, and it's because because I have to meet with people in England. It's those. I really hate the 8 a.m. meetings. I'll be honest. 9 a.m. I'm fine. I'm up. I'm awake. I've had my tea. I'm fine. But by 8 a.m. I'm still just barely rolling, because normally when I was driving to work, I would get out and start the commute at 8 a.m. So I'd be, I'm up, but I'm not fully ready to engage work. But now I'm often at 8 and sometimes 7, and the awful ones are 6:30. Morning meetings because then you're really starting the day, to me, a little bit early. But that's work. But that's what I want. I want that, and I got the position I wanted. And be careful what you ask for, because you may get it, and I got it. And so that's why this is the problem I have. Is it's like gaming on Friday is, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that at all because of the meetings. Often I'll have an 8 a.m. meeting, and maybe, and I'll be going clear till 6. And by the time I get through, I'm tired. And before I was um, before I was diagnosed with this, I'd come home, I'd just go lay down for half an hour. Now I need a little bit longer. And if I lay down, I don't want to get back up for a while. I'm up later. I'm up at 10, or I'm often up later, but I can't predict that because sometimes I just get really tired late at night. And it's not affecting my work, but it's affecting my gaming. So that's where I am with the gaming. Saturdays are, I sleep in, and it's just so many other things going on with my life that I'm trying to figure out what's happening. And I will be moving in June. I guess would be, it's at the end of May, start of June. I will be moving. I'm starting to move now. I'm boxing things up. So I'm planning to take a little bit of time to move, and that will be interesting. And yes, some interesting challenges with my life with regard to that. But I'm doing great, and hope you enjoy this. I encourage, don't if you get don't be as afraid of cancer as it sounds, because they have made great strides. It's much, at least for me, it hasn't been painful. The And you go, if the worst thing that happens to you is a funny metallic taste in your mouth for a while, I mean, come on, you got to be able to put up with that. You can chew some gum and it'll go away. It's just, the funny metallic taste. You have to be careful, things like that. I have winter gloves in the kitchen because because the cold sensitivity in my fingers is such. When I went to the grocery store the other day, I reached into the case, and I picked up a piece of cheese, and it was like electricity running through my fingers. I could feel the cold from the cheese. And it was, we're not talking ice cold stuff, but we're talking cold stuff. It's kept down relatively cold. Just picking up a piece of cheese so you got to wear gloves in the kitchen, which makes cooking a little bit more painful. Which normally that's not a problem. I'll just order. Except right now I'm snowed in. I'm not sure how much. I haven't opened the doors. I've got the windows all closed, and I'm staying warm as I'm not going out. And I know that I live in an apartment, and they've been snow plowing the streets, and I heard them working on the sidewalk. And I'm hoping that it will be nice, and maybe I'll order a pizza tonight or something if they deliver. And that's a big, interesting question, because we really got zonked with snow. Because I don't mind cooking, and I cook for myself because I'm single now. I'm a widower, and but cooking is really difficult if you can't touch anything that comes out of the fridge, because it's I can do certain things like put a glove on one hand, and I try and do things with the other hand, but it's not heat, it's cold, because you're so sensitive to it. So it's annoying, but if you're okay with okay with ordering, as soon as the weather cooperates a bit, then it'll be better. But and I'm looking forward to the if you're getting chemo, if you could plan for it. Actually, think about it. For me, it lasts 6 months. I'm going to be on it for 6 months, and ending in June is actually not a bad time. I mean, it's I have the cold at the start, and then it will be, by the time it's done in the June, it'll be nice and warm. And if it's snowing in June, then we have other challenges. But anyway, that's it. So I'm doing great. It's just that I get so tired at night that I'm. It's difficult to plan around the gaming, because when I game, I want to give it my full attention, and it's just that. And I've been talking too long. I went on for 20 minutes, and I didn't want to do that. But I apologize. I just get rambling and talking. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm going to try and do some more, not just on chemo and chem and that. So I appreciate your watching. Tell others, if you know somebody else who's going through this, I'd love to hear from them. Exchange war stories about cancer. For me, it's been very mild. It's been it was less scary than what I was thinking was going to happen to me, which was open heart surgery, because I thought it's the things in my family sort of made me think that. But and those fears have been assuaged. I mean, they at the start of this they detected a heart murmur, and it comes and goes now, because sometimes they can hear it and sometimes they can't, because it was mainly the amount of blood. My blood's getting better, but the chemo's possibly going to take that. I did get the effect of the Neulasta effect, which you'll see. Neulasta is being advertised on television, and Neulasta it builds up your white blood cells, but the downside to it is it gives you bone. You can get joint pain, and it's a histamine reaction. So they tell you to take Claritin, which sounds weird to get rid of joint pain, but I didn't take that, and my neck was bothering me, and I go, oh, that's a joint. I normally don't think about that. I think, wrist, elbow, knee, something like that. No, my pain was in my neck. And so I took the Claritin, and in 2 days it cleared up, because it's a histamine reaction. That was last time. This time, because my blood levels were fine, that was great. The only thing, I was a little bit low on liquids, so I'm trying to keep track of my liquids. I'm being totally insane and keeping track of how much I drink, so I know how much I'm drinking. Water, warm water. And the other thing is that my sodium was low. Doctor says eat more salty snacks, basically. Yeah. So, and they don't want me to lose any weight. Which, go to the doctor, because your doctor says not to gain weight, but not to lose any weight, or very little weight, because they want me to stay where I'm at, which is, I haven't had a doctor tell me that in my entire life, and to eat more salty snacks. So yeah, those are kind of strange ones, but it's just because my sodium was a little bit low. So other than that, I've been doing great. Diet is fine. The cold, I think, triggered a lot of appetite, and I did some research on that. And because it's been so cold out, that a lot of people eat to compensate for the cold. So thank you for watching. Have other people, if you know that they've got this, tell them, cancer, at least for me, has not been that scary. And chemo has not been bad at all. Maybe I will change as I go through more and more of this stuff. I've only got 10 more to go. And so I just keep on keeping on. And if nothing else happens, I'll be fine. So they said, and the doctor says, yeah, the other thing the doctor says is because I'm so young. I laugh. I'm going, yes, my birthday was the other day, and I'm going, yeah, I'm so young. But I look at some of the people who are going through there, and they are older, and they are much sicker. And he says, because I was, quote, relatively healthy, I had a little bit of fat, which actually was good if you're going to start, if for that, because they actually want you a little bit plumper, I guess, when you start chemo, because you may start losing weight, which would be a good thing. In a weird way. Doctors don't want me to lose weight. I wouldn't mind losing a little bit of weight, but that's a sign that the chemo is taking its toll on me. So I'm not supposed to lose weight. I'm supposed to stay what I'm at, and I'm supposed to eat salty snacks. So have fun. Just encourage other people to do chemo. It works. At least it appears to be with me. So Thank you.